Welcome to Wellspring on the Air. I'm Nicole Alfonso, a therapist at Wellspring and the host of today's show about decluttering for better mental health. With me today to discuss this much needed topic is Tatiana Knight. Together, we want to tell you about the impact of clutter on our mental health. So stay with us. We've got some interesting insights just for you. Okay, Tatiana, welcome to our show. So I'd like you to take a little bit of time just to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. Very excited to speak with you. So I'm a person who's always loved organizing, and it just came naturally. So when I was a kid, every mess I saw, I wanted to fix it, whether it was mine or somebody else's. And as I got older, I realized that this was an actual job, and that if people are getting paid to organize, they should be paying me to organize, and I could help all these people because I'd run out of family and friends to help. So I thought maybe, okay, I can help some other people out there who need help.
That's awesome. You say that the joke in the family is that you were say that the people would say in your family, Tati is reorganizing her closet again.
Yeah. I mean, when they would see the stuff out, they were like, what was wrong with it last time? She's doing this again? But it was like, I always wanted to find the perfect way to do everything. I always thought this system could be even more improved. And I used to write out little labels. I don't even know why. It just came from somewhere inside that's how I felt in control of my things.
Even yeah, I love that. I love that. It's like a gift that you have to share with other people so that you can help other people.
Yeah, that's the best thing. That I can't believe anybody needs help organizing, but after all these years, obviously they do.
Yes, we're not like you. So, Tatiana, tell me, what led you to start your own business to help people organize their spaces?
Once I saw on the TV show that it was an actual job, I said, okay, this is my dream. How can I get involved in this? And that's when I found a local professional that already had her business. And so she hired me as an intern. And after a few months, I realized, okay, not only can I organize for my family and friends, but I can help strangers. So I decided, let me try it out and start a business and see what happens. And then now, all these years later, because I was in 2007, it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And every year there's more of a need. And so it's just been amazing to help so many people over the years.
Oh, that's so good. I know your company is called Neat with Knight. Right. Knight is your last name. Right. So tell us about the mission of your organization, of your company.
So for our company, our goal is to make clients' lives more simple. And the way to do that is through organizing their home and their offices, because that's where you're spending all your time. So it's just a way to create a system. And that means, what do I have? Where is it? How can I store it? How can I easily access it? Because when you have too many things and you don't know where anything is, that doesn't help. You could save everything you've ever had in your life, but if you don't know how to access it when you need it, there's basically no point of having it there. And when you have so much excess, it just gets, out of hand. And that's where people call us in, because we start fresh and leave you with a system that you can maintain for yourself. And we'll even teach you how to organize so that you don't need to call us, once a week, once a month, once a year, unless you actually want to. But we create the system with the clients so that it's something that we already know is going to work for them and their needs and how they process information.
Oh, yes, that's awesome, because everybody has like different ways also of kind of keeping track of things, right? And so you kind of find the right way for the person, based on their unique needs.
Exactly. That's why we have to get to know them. And that's how it becomes kind of like a personal relationship, because it's not a cookie cutter solution for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. So from your perspective, how does clutter impact our mental health?
Oh my gosh. I could go on and on for days, but obviously, I mean, clutter is just stuff that you don't want, you don't need, you don't use, you don't love. So by definition, it's nothing positive into your life. And we've always learned that clutter is as a result of delayed decisions. So instead of getting something and deciding, what is this? Am I keeping it? Where am I going to put it? You just set it to the side, and that's how it starts accumulating. And things are always coming into your house, but if you don't make an effort, nothing's going out. So that's where people kind of get buried in almost like a pile of their mess.
Yeah, and it can be like really overwhelming. I feel like for me in particular, that's me. Like, oh, I don't know what to do this. Okay, I'll put it over here. It's like, and I know it's the wrong thing to do.
No, I understand. And especially if you're busy, which everybody is. So it's so much easier to just be like, boom. And sometimes we have to stop clients and I say, okay, wait. You just picked this up and you put it over there. What are we doing with this? Talk to me about
Mm,
this. But I mean, just clutter brings so many negative things into people's lives. When they call me, the first thing people say is that they're overwhelmed.
mhm.
The second thing they say is they're embarrassed because we ask for before pictures and a lot of people are like mortified to send them. And people are like, I'm so sorry for the mess. And I say, if there wasn't a mess, you wouldn't be calling. So really don't, like, no need to apologize. But I mean, we've gone all over the place. Some people fall into a serious depression because of their
Mm,
mess, or their mess is made worse, makes the depression worse. People say, I feel like I'm drowning. I feel
mm,
hopeless. I don't know where to start. I don't know if it's even worth starting. I've done it before and I failed, or I'm upsetting my family. I mean, there's so many negative things that come from this that it's just like, really, I have a whole list.
wow, yeah. So let's see, can you tell us a little bit about the challenges that we could face in our daily lives that may actually cause the clutter? So what causes us to collect and clutter stuff?
Yeah, that's hard because there's kind of like psychology behind why people want to hold on to things. So that's kind of like a different story. But the most common thing is really that people have such limited time, and
Mm,
that you need time to organize. You need time to set up a system. And when you're running around crazy, you're just buying whatever you need. And if you don't know where the other one is, you just buy a new one too and have it delivered in one day. So that's how too much stuff comes into our lives, as well as the fact that people just, especially in the United States, it's just, I can buy this, I can buy that. I should have more of this, I should have more of that. This is new. Who cares about the old one? Let me get the new one. So there's so many reasons
mm,
why we end up with so much. And then some people like sentimentally want to hold on to some things or everything. Some people have no idea what is sentimental versus what is just there. Um, it's
yeah.
just so many things that nobody knows what in the world they're doing unless you love organizing, which some people do, but it's a pretty low percentage of the population.
That means you have a job for a while.
Yeah, definitely. And with
So
people
let's
working
see.
from home, it's been even more.
Oh, of course, because
When you're
now
stuck
they're
at
like
home,
face to face with the fact that, oh my gosh, I am really messy, or I have too much stuff, or I don't know where to put stuff.
definitely.
So, okay, so tell us more about the difference between cleaning and organizing, because these are two completely different things, right?
Yes. And
Okay.
sometimes we have to tell clients who call because they don't understand. I mean, a cleaning
Mm,
service is obviously somebody who's going to be, Windexing the windows and cleaning the toilets and stuff like that. That, of course, is very important, but that's different from organizing because when you're organizing, you set up a system and then all you have to do is maintain it. So when you're tidying up could actually be just throwing stuff in one area. That doesn't mean it's organized. It might look
mm,
okay, but again, do you know what you have? Do you know where it is? Did you get rid of the stuff that doesn't matter? So you could
right.
clean every day because the second you cook a meal, the kitchen's dirty. But you don't have to organize every day. If you set up a system, you just keep it up. And then if something has a place, put it back in the place. But you can't clean correctly if you have too much clutter. Even if you're bringing in a service, there's only so much that they can move around, but dust collects everywhere. So if you have way too much stuff, you're not fully cleaning that space as much as you would probably like to.
Right. Yeah, I feel like what you're kind of saying that you really have to declutter before you start this process.
Yeah, and of course you want to be clean all the time, but sometimes you clean before you organize and you clean after you do a big organizing project because dust just comes from everywhere.
Yeah,
When you clean out
yeah.
a closet, you would never think, oh, this is going to be filled with dust, but it is. If things haven't been moved, you can even see dust on the shoulders of clothes that you haven't worn in a really long time. It will accumulate on the clothes,
Yep.
but it's crazy.
I've seen that. I've seen that on my clothes.
Yeah, which is proof that you haven't worn it lately.
Yes. So let's see. Maybe you could give some practical tips on how to get organized. Could you start us off with some general things?
Yeah, everything I do is project based. So you don't just think I'm going to reorganize my whole house or my whole life or my whole office. You have to start small, or else the overwhelm really will take over. And so it has to be one small project. Maybe it is just the desktop or one of the countertops. Maybe it's a whole closet. But you have to know that when you make a huge mess, you're going to have to clean it up. So sometimes it's better for people not to make a huge mess. Just go to a certain area or start with a
Mm,
certain category. So, like, let's say you're in your closet. Let's get all the shirts together and let's see like all the white ones. Let's see all the black ones. Because when you see that you have 15 black tops, it's pretty easy to pick the ones that you like the best or pull out the ones that are a little beat up and replace them, or to see, okay, I have 15 black tops, great. Or I need 5 more, whatever. It's different for everybody. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying part of organizing is actually just knowing what you have and has nothing to do with removing stuff. You only need to remove stuff if you don't care about it. So it's not just like you go around your house throwing stuff away, just like, whoa, I'm organized. It's not true. You have to keep what you need and you want within reason of what fits in your space. But what you're getting rid of and donating, like you can do to make other people's lives better, is stuff that you didn't need or you didn't want, and it wasn't helping you, so it might as well help somebody else.
right. But when I hear you say 15 black tops, it makes me think you never need to buy a black top again.
Yeah, it might be. Sometimes I have
Right?
to tell people. I've even had
Yeah.
to say, like, please do not buy one more roll of toilet paper until you finish the 50 that you have.
Okay, so first step, choose a space or a section, right? Or a category.
Right.
So maybe it's your desk, or maybe it's your closet, or a category is maybe is all the books in your house, right? Or
Right.
all your clothing, right? That would be it. Okay.
Exactly. And then you start sorting them into similar things. So, like I said, maybe by color or style of your clothing, or maybe these are all fiction, these are all nonfiction, just to get an idea of what is there before you
Mm,
start deciding what am I going to do with it. And again, keeping in mind that it's not all about getting rid of stuff, it's about actually setting aside what's the most important. So you can work backwards, not what is goodbye, but what is hello, what am I keeping? What is important to me? Why do I have
yes,
this? Because
that's a
sometimes
good
you have
question.
things that are very good and useful and needed, you completely forgot, or you had nowhere, like no idea where it was. This is a reminder for yourself. And people, when typically like they start looking at everything, then they realize, okay, this is clutter and this is awesome. And I forgot it was there. I mean, we've helped people find money, missing passports, all kinds of stuff that just kind of gets mixed into the mess.
Yeah, yeah, wow. And you also, it seems to me that you also have to be mindful of the space you have and fit the things in that space. And then if it doesn't fit in the space, you got to make decisions, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's a shame sometimes because people don't have a big closet or you don't have a garage or you're not going to pay for the storage unit, which I don't think you should in most cases. But that's the thing. If you can only fit a certain amount of things, the second you go over that, it's going to be a mess. If you don't have a
Yeah.
place for something, where does it go? Randomly on the floor. And then once one thing gets there, it just happens to like more, 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 more. That's why we try to keep the floor clean because it says nothing goes there. The second one thing is there, it just keeps adding to that pile.
Yeah. Okay. So if anybody wants to organize and they feel overwhelmed, like where to start, how should I do this? What should I do? Can you give them some pointers?
Yeah, I think again is start small. Something that might seem easy for somebody. Like maybe it's fun to organize your makeup, or maybe you're excited to go through your hero collection. If you hate papers, don't start with the bills and the tax forms and all that, because you're gonna give up soon into when you start. So pick something that's like easy or fun, and then you'll
Okay.
get the hang of things and you'll feel confident that okay, I did this and let me do this, and you can kind of motivate yourself. Whereas if you hire a professional, typically I tell my client, what's the worst space? What's upsetting you the most? How can I possibly impact your life this week? So it's the opposite, but that's because, of course, we're bringing in a team and we've been doing this for 15 years. So it's a different story.
And
But
they're probably not doing that space because it's the hardest space for them. So they're
right.
probably avoiding it. Yeah.
Yeah. And people call us about the worst space, but then when they see the results and how it makes them feel and their family and the other people who live there and work there, then they end up calling us for the rest of the space. So that's why we work with people, at least 3 to 4 times, because typically they want to go from room to room to room and get everything organized.
Right, right. Okay, so we're going to take a short break to thank one of our sponsors who makes the production of our podcast possible. When we come back, we'll hear more from Tatiana about the benefits of decluttering and, again, some practical tips. Welcome back to Wellspring on the Air. This is Nicole Alfonso. If you're just joining our show, our topic today is decluttering for better mental health. So far today, we've talked about the difficulties that we encounter when we have lots of clutter. If you joined us late, you can find us on your favorite podcast channel on Wellspring on the Air or on our website blog page at wellspringmiami.org. Just search for this topic, which is decluttering for better mental health. Okay, so Tatiana, from your experience, how has organizing bettered the lives of your clients?
This is the best part, because when people send you a text or they write a review and they tell you how much you impacted them, it is amazing. So not only do we make the space look completely different, but people say, I feel this weight has been lifted. I'm motivated to move on with what I need to do. I'm so excited to do other spaces. My family was so excited when they saw what I did, or they're so proud of me. I don't feel guilty anymore. I don't feel overwhelmed anymore. I'm not making up reasons to not be home anymore. A little bit of that depression may have been lifted a little bit. Things like that, where you're just ready for whatever you wanted to be ready for, whether it was a party or a wedding or just Monday. You're more prepared because all of this mess of your life is gone.
Wow, that's a lot of really positive results from just decluttering spaces. Also, I know that people also say things like, I have more time and energy, which is huge. It looks like just having a cluttered space drains your energy. I also see that they call you an angel because you've come to help them and they really see the impact in their lives. It might have even improved relationships in their homes, right? Maybe family relationships.
Yeah, we had a client say that we helped him and his wife save their marriage, because I guess the mess had got into another level. They had 4 kids and a huge house, and I guess it was really coming between them. And then once we handled that, it was one less problem to deal with.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, because I know that there's people that are, collectors in a marriage, for example, somebody that collects and keeps a lot of stuff, and then the other one that's like the minimalist and doesn't want anything, right?
Right. Yeah. And
So I could see. Yeah. Wow, this is really impactful. I think people really need to do this. Okay, so we did talk about some practical tips. You talked about choosing a project that's small, that is not overwhelming, or a category of items. So let's move on to how someone can involve their entire family in this. This is huge because, you have your husband, your wife, you have maybe kids, maybe there's an in-law living in the house. I mean, there's a lot of people to keep this up, right? So tell us about that.
Yeah, that is not easy, because you can never force somebody to be organized. You can never force somebody to want to be organized. So really, my main tip on that is communication. Once you focus on your space and your stuff, and you realize how difficult and time consuming this project is, then I think you're a little more understanding if other people are not excited or interested in doing it. But at least they already have you as an example of what you did and how it changed your space and your life. So really, I just would, talk with other family members. How do you feel about this mess in the TV room? Or how do you feel when you can't find your stuff to go to soccer practice? Things like that, where even if they're kids, in grade school or middle school, I mean, they don't want to live in a mess. They don't want this like crazy lifestyle. So a lot of times I actually talk directly to the kids, because they're very easy to reason with. Do you want this to be better? Do you want to know where all your stuff is? Should we take out everything that doesn't fit you, that you don't like? Of course, kids normally are like, yeah. I mean, every now and then they freak out, like, don't take this toy, which of course you're not going to. But even if it's your own kids or your parents, you have to work with them in a way that you don't start a fight over the organizing. Because when you start grabbing their stuff and saying, oh, okay, this is donate, this is garbage, why do you have this? Why do you have that? That's a fight immediately.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to be careful.
Yeah, so there has to be a sense of respect, right, for others people's things, but maybe frame it in a way that life is going to be easier if we do, have a system, right, in place.
Definitely.
Yeah, because it will be.
Yeah. Anytime kids need something, if the parents don't know where it is and neither do the kids, it's a problem.
Yeah, for sure. So listen, my grandmother passed away a year ago, and she had been, she had been collecting. She was in her 80s. She had been collecting for 80 years, right? Let's say 60. And my mom was left with having to clear things out of the house. So, this kind of speaks into the mental health piece a little bit, but when you're grieving or when you've just decided, you've collected so many things and now someone has passed away, you're have to being the one to clear all that out. Tell us a little bit about how to do that and how to work through that process while you're grieving.
Yeah, that's hard. And I'm sorry for your grandmother. I experienced the same thing and it's not easy. And it's like you said, you're upset that they're not there anymore, but now you have to look at all their stuff and make all these decisions. And it's hard because like even you feel guilty because is this
Yeah.
special? Am I supposed to keep this? Or was this new and expensive? Should I sell this? There's so many questions that even my family was overwhelmed, and this is my job. But when it's something that hits close to home, it is hard. And I just tell families, don't rush into that unless for some reason you have to clear out that space or whatever, move their possessions. But we did it in like a few different days. So it wasn't like I'm going to go in and plow through everything just because it was emotional. And what helped us is that as many family members as could kept things that were meaningful to them or that they actually could use or they did want. So nobody was forced to keep or use anything. But a lot of us did end up picking some of our favorite things or, one time I found in my grandmother's stuff a necklace that had been made for me and it was engraved and it had like my profile as a little girl. So I think she had it made like a million years ago and then forgot to give it to me. So that's
Oh,
also why you want to dig through the stuff. You don't just get it
yeah.
all and say goodbye. But I'd say baby steps, especially if it's a traumatic loss.
Yeah.
Do your best in small increments of time because at some point you'll get through it. Unless it's not so upsetting for you and you just flip a switch and do what needs to be done, which is donate, keep, trash,
Yeah. Okay. So, you've worked with people that have lost people, important people in their lives, spouses or family members, and have not touched a closet or, for a long time, for years.
Yeah.
What is that like and what does that do, right? Is it not, doesn't it become harder if you don't actually do that cleanup?
It does because it might just be the closet of your husband who passed away, but it's also this like physical daily reminder of this negative thing. And not only, of course, are you never going to forget that they passed away, but now you're seeing this and you're like, oh my God, I'm supposed to do that and I haven't done it. And then blah, blah, blah. It's all these extra negative feelings that go along with the loss. That's why you don't really want to let it get out of hand. I've known people again that have left it until they moved 10 years later. But that clothes could have been helping somebody who needed clothes if you think of it that way.
Yeah.
It could have been passed on to somewhere better than just hanging out and collecting dust and ultimately being donation or garbage.
Yeah.
So I would caution people, don't go too fast, but don't go way too slow.
Yeah. I would actually just kind of put in here, definitely do the grieving work because that'll become easier to do in the end, to be able to give away the clothing and be grateful for giving it to somebody else, right? But when you're grieving, it's harder when you want to keep maybe sometimes everything because you don't want things to change, right? But so yeah, that's my little poke in there to go get your therapist to help you through some of the grieving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you're organizing, if you're tearing up and crying, and that's all understandable.
Yeah, of course.
You always want to leave like pictures and letters and all that for the end because that's very time consuming. Try to go through like actual everyday possessions first. but it's not easy for any of us. And when you think about it, the more stuff you personally have, the more stuff you're leaving for somebody to look at when you're gone. And I've seen that really affect people negatively in so many ways. I mean, I could tell you so many stories of people that their life for days, weeks, months, years was negatively affected by the stuff left behind by their family members who passed away.
Wow. Yeah, I could see it in my mom. She's cleaning up after my grandmother's 60 years of stuff, and she has to do little by little, but she's been doing it for the past year, and she continues to do it. So it does fall on the other family members once somebody leaves. So, well, I think this is just so timely, especially, spring is coming, and it's, we always think of spring as the cleanup time. So I do encourage everybody listening, it's time to declutter. And I know, like, I feel so good when I declutter my kitchen drawer. So I know it's helpful. I do need to venture out to other spaces after listening to you, Tatiana, share all your knowledge with us. So I thank you for coming on. It is time to close out the show. So thank you, Tatiana Knight, for joining us today and shedding light on how clutter can affect our mental health and on giving us tips to get started. We hope you were motivated to spend the time decluttering your spaces at home, to have a clear mind and focus. And thank you for joining our show today. Again, if you joined this program midstream, you can find this show and others on podcasts at Wellspring on the Air, or on our blog on wellspringmiami.org. The title of today's show, again, was Decluttering for Better Mental Health. Encourage us and let us know you're listening by sending comments or questions to ontheair@wellspringmiami.org. It's time to wrap up. This is Nicole Alfonso with Wellspring on the Air, because hearts and minds matter.